Bro, I stamp on everything I love, bro. What type of gangster pull up on a man, say they gonna do something to a man, and pull out their phone on everything I love, bro? Baby ARP in hand, man. I just asked these folks, what you wanna do? Why y'all keep staring at me? I'm sitting here, right in the drive, parking lot, right there, tell them niggas what they wanna do. Man, them niggas shaking, man. 3, you shaking. Ben, shaking. Y'all niggas ain't do shit, man. Listen, then right after that, cause I hop in the car, I'm like, man, what y'all wanna do? Y'all don't wanna do nothing. Nigga pull off in the whip, now niggas wanna pull their phone out, man. I had 2 niggas on the front line that would've laid y'all down. Come on, man. If you gonna post something, post that, bro.
Things took a dangerous turn for NLE Choppa in Houston, Texas, when he was ambushed by NBA Ben 10. Known on the streets as NBA Youngboy's top enforcer. This wasn't a minor clash. It was a broad daylight encounter that almost cost him his life. We're discussing a face-off that could have easily resulted in a family receiving the worst news imaginable. No exaggeration. Despite his online image being all about peace and wellness, Choppa's decision to target the wrong individual with his words finally backfired, leading to that now infamous moment where he was cornered in a parking lot with no escape. The unsettling reality of how this rivalry turned physical is more grim than people think, and we're going to lay it all bare. What's going on, everyone? We're about to get into the gritty details of a street conflict that's sending shockwaves through the rap scene. These are the kinds of personal wars that never have a good ending. And if we look at the past, anyone who has made themselves an enemy of NBA Youngboy has wound up either dead or in handcuffs. Let's jump into the story. But first, let me be completely transparent with you all. Platforms like Instagram and Twitter have been flooded with footage of NLE Choppa being approached by NBA Ben 10 and OG3 in Houston. However, our goal here is to sift through the chaos, distinguishing the truth from the lies. Because the accounts from each side couldn't be more different. Let's set the scene. Between 2018 and the start of 2019, NLE Choppa was the fresh face out of Memphis, skyrocketing to fame with his hit Shotta Flow. He wasn't shy about his admiration for NBA Youngboy, publicly declaring in interviews that Youngboy was his favorite artist without any hesitation. His fandom went a step further. He actually reworked Youngboy's music, creating his own version of Through the Storm called Through the Rain, and also jumping on the track drawing symbols. There was no doubt about it, he was a legitimate, dedicated fan. But there's a key point about how the streets and the music business operate that a lot of folks miss. Youngboy himself never really formed a bond with Choppa, and in the beginning, it wasn't about any personal grudge. Coming from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Youngboy has a sixth sense for spotting people who aren't genuine. He noticed that NLE Choppa was building up this tough, gangster persona strictly for his online audience. It was an act. It's important to remember that before music, Choppa's focus was basketball, not street life. His brush with the law involved a gun at school, which led to time in juvenile detention, after which he pursued a career in rap. Youngboy, in contrast, has been navigating real dangers since he was a kid. He knows the difference between someone who lives by the code of the streets and someone who just uses it as material for their songs. The situation took a serious turn in March of 2019. Choppa was live on Instagram, and the friends with him started loudly disrespecting NBA Youngboy, calling him a fake killer and throwing out other insults. One of them even called YB. Choppa tried to get them to calm down, reminding them that thousands of people were watching the live stream. But the offensive comments had already gone out into the world. Youngboy saw what happened and didn't waste any time, going on his own Instagram live that very same day to respond. He fired back, saying things like, "Ain't no killer. Who the I ain't tripping off no killing. Poor little N asterisk 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 A," exceeding the disrespectful pull with the name color. Right then and there, it was clear there was no going back. The rivalry was officially locked in, but this feud is rooted in something much more significant than just online drama. NLE Choppa made a strategic decision that Youngboy would see as an unforgivable betrayal. He connected with Frito Bang and released a collaborative track titled Exposing Me, often called Gangster Talk. In March 2019, within the context of the streets and the industry, Frito Bang is widely understood to be one of Youngboy's main opponents. Both artists hail from Baton Rouge, and there is a very real, very violent war happening between Youngboy's Furkuti and Frito's crew, TBG the Bottom Boy Gorillas, a conflict that has actually claimed lives. By choosing to work on a song with Frito, Choppa was effectively aligning himself with one side of a bloody battle he was never a part of. On that song, Choppa included a line about herpes that listeners believed was a direct jab at Youngboy, and Frito Bang took shots at Youngboy's deceased manager, Big Dump, who was murdered in 2018. That was the final confirmation for Young. Choppa was no longer just a fan. He was now considered an active enemy. Youngboy's response came in February 2020 with his track Bad, where he dismissed Choppa as a wannabe ass and clown. The intensity ratcheted up in January 2022 with the song No Love, where Youngboy made explicit threats against Choppa's life, describing his mother in tears at his funeral and stating he wanted his soul. The song felt like a dark prophecy, essentially saying, "You chose the losing side, and it's going to get you killed." Perhaps the most telling moment was when Youngboy rapped, "I'm surprised your parents ain't talking you out of this beef." That's the kind of line that signals genuine parallels, one man warning another that the game he's playing is with his own survival. So, what prompted NLE Choppa to restart this war in 2024? After several years of staying relatively quiet, to speak frankly, his career momentum had slowed down considerably. His more recent albums and mixtapes didn't generate the same excitement as Cottonwood or his initial breakthrough work. He was losing streams, buzz, and public attention. In a move to recapture the spotlight, he returned to the one strategy he knew would generate headlines. He released a diss track targeting Youngboy named Me, Myself, and I3, and then followed it with another. On social media, he began posting aggressively, claiming he wasn't afraid and was prepared for any outcome. But Choppa failed to account for one crucial factor. NBA Youngboy isn't surrounded by mere performers. He has access to individuals with real street credibility. Figures like Ben 10 and OG3 have a reputation in the streets as crash dummies, men who are willing to sacrifice their own future, freedom, or life for their ally without any hesitation. They represent the ultimate threat in a conflict because they operate with a complete disregard for any personal cost. The story picks up again in December 2024. NLE Choppa was in Houston, Texas, allegedly visiting family. According to widespread talk on social media, a person connected to Youngboy's 4KT network reportedly sent his precise location to NBA OG3. Not long after, Ben 10 posted a vague message on his story: "I just came out the house for nothing." In the audio, you could make out Choppa's voice in the background telling them to remember their It was obvious a confrontation had occurred. Choppa later explained his perspective on Instagram, stating that he held his position in the middle of the parking lot with a firearm, directly asking the other party what they intended to do. He claimed that Ben 10 and 3 were nervous, unwilling to engage, and instead opted to just film the encounter with their phones, to emphasize his truthfulness. He made a drastic vow involving his children's lives, a move that shows how high the stakes were for him. However, OG3 presented a totally contradictory version of events. He insisted that Choppa only revealed his weapon after their car had pulled away, suggesting Choppa was frightened by their look and only acted when he felt safe, possibly mistaking them for undercover police. Choppa rebutted by explaining that the man seen wearing a cowboy hat was actually affiliated with him, not a threat. The opposing stories created a classic and tense standoff of conflicting narratives. All of this leads to an unavoidable conclusion. NLE Choppa is dangerously out of his depth. Let's look at the historical record. Every individual who has engaged in a serious feud with NBA Youngboy has met a tragic end. G Money, affiliated with TBG, was killed in 2017. Youngboy's own manager, Dump, was killed in 2018, with TBG allegedly responsible as payback. King Von, who had his own disputes with Youngboy's circle, was killed in 2020 following an altercation with Quando Rondo. Many other TBG associates are now either deceased or serving long prison sentences. This isn't a battle for musical supremacy, it's a life-or-death street war. For all his bold talk, Choppa's origin as a basketball player from Memphis who transitioned to rap doesn't provide the background needed for this level of conflict. The general street opinion is that he had a lucky escape in Houston. If Ben 10 and 3 had truly been intent on violence that day, they had the perfect chance. Now, the aftermath has devolved into a debate over who appeared more courageous in a situation that was inches from disaster. But how important is that debate? Really, Choppa is invoking the ultimate oath on his kids to prove he was prepared to use lethal force to defend himself, behavior that completely contradicts the spiritual, health-focused identity he's been promoting for years. This is a return to the old Choppa, the version that seemed to be playing the role of a gangster for his online followers. At its heart, this entire situation highlights a damaging pattern that exists within hip-hop culture. We often glorify street credibility and violent retaliation over personal development and positive creation. If Choppa had been shot and killed for refusing to back down, some commentators would praise him for standing on business, while the majority would likely call it a senseless, avoidable death. In these environments, the accusation of being soft or scared is one of the most powerful insults, which is precisely why Choppa felt the urgent need to defend his actions and explain himself online. But what is the actual reward for winning this contest of toughness? Some fleeting respect on the internet. In the meantime, you are gambling with everything: your life, your freedom, and your future. NLE Choppa appeared to be on a new journey advocating for spirituality, clean eating, and meditation. He seemed to be trying to escape the cycle, but the powerful pull of street politics and reputation dragged him back into a feud that has the potential to end everything. For him, the fundamental issue here extends beyond NLE Choppa simply chasing clout, or better, streaming numbers by attacking NBA Youngboy. This is a complex story about power dynamics, Fragile egos, cultivated images, and the very real, often deadly consequences of pretending to live a gangster lifestyle when you aren't equipped for its harsh realities. Youngboy's reputation is cemented by a well-known and documented history. He doesn't need to prove his authenticity to anyone. Choppa, on the other hand, is still stuck in a cycle of trying to prove his end. That insecurity leads to risky decisions and traps he can't easily get out of. The most pressing question now is, where does this go from here? Will this conflict escalate to the point where someone is seriously injured or killed? Will Choppa have a moment of realization about the danger he's in? Or will he continue down this destructive path until there's no turning back? The past offers him no comfort. King Von is gone. Multiple members of TBG are gone. And now, NLE Choppa finds himself directly in the line of fire, being confronted by individuals who have absolutely nothing to lose. It's fortunate that the Houston incident didn't end in tragedy, but this dispute is far from resolved. Ben 10 and 3 have sent a clear message that they can locate him. Choppa can continue to assert that he was ready and armed, but the cold, hard truth is that if their intention had been to eliminate him, he wouldn't be alive to tell his story. He continues to posture, to make reckless statements, to treat this as if it's just another rap battle. But this is the real world, with permanent consequences and a growing number of real victims. Unless Choppa has a genuine awakening and understands the severity of the position he's put himself in, he risks becoming merely another entry in the long, grim history of those who challenged NBA Youngboy and did not survive.